Hey everyone, thank you for watching The Noted Gospel. Today we're talking about a Christian stance in regards to Black Lives Matter. Once again, thank you for watching. If you haven't noticed, our nation is going through a time of sorrow, division, and a time in which the gospel is needed now more than ever. As I mentioned before, we're going to take a look at a Christian stance in regards to Black Lives Matter. To help us make sense of this, we first have to understand that Black Lives Matter is two things. There's the notion or statement that Black Lives Matter, and there's also the organization that goes by the name of Black Lives Matter. To help us, I'm going to refer to the Black Lives Matter organization as the BLM organization. And so with that, let's look at the statement, the notion, Black Lives Matter. Should a Christian agree with this? The answer is, of course, absolutely. Black lives definitely matter. Black lives have value. They have as much value as a white life, a brown life, and every other life. Black lives matter. However, the question is, do black lives matter only because of the color of their skin? Thinking that's the case might be racist. I think the reason as to why black lives matter goes deeper than skin color, and it's found in the first half of Genesis chapter 1, verse 26. In this verse, God says, "Let us," referring to himself, "make man in our image." There we go. Black lives matter, just like every other being, because we're all made in the image of God. We are all God's creation. With that in mind, we as Christians need to affirm that black lives matter, not because of skin color, but because we're all made in the image of God. As such, we as Christians need to be against racism and stand against any sort of injustices. Now let's look at the BLM organization. What we'll do is we'll look at two quotes and we'll see how at least I as a Christian cannot support the BLM organization. For reference, you can find these quotes directly from their website. And this quote is a response to the 2018 State of the Union address. It says this: "We deserve and thus demand reproductive justice that gives us autonomy over our bodies and our identities, while ensuring that our children and families are supported, safe, and able to thrive." Now, what this quote really comes down to is abortion. The BLM organization wants abortion. Now, abortion is sinful unless the life, not the livelihood, unless the life of the mother is at stake. Now listen to this quote by Professor Sean McDowell. He says, "Nearly half of pregnancies among black women end in abortion. In New York, the headquarters of Planned Parenthood, more black babies are aborted than born alive. Black children can't be safe and thrive if they don't even have a chance to thrive." And so when this organization is pushing abortion, in which the black community is most affected, I just can't support that. And so reason number one that I as a Christian can't support the BLM organization is that I believe that unborn black lives matter. Now let's look at a second quote from the BLM website. It says this: "We disrupt the Western prescribed nuclear family structure requirement by supporting each other as extended families and villages that collectively care for one another, especially our children, to the degree that mothers, parents, and children are comfortable." What this is saying is that the family structure of a married husband and wife parenting children should be done away with as the best way to raise children. Now, this is contrary to God's design for a family. In Genesis 2, it says this: "A man leaves his father and mother and bonds to his wife, and they become one flesh." God's design is for a man and a woman to be committed with each other in marriage. And in this marriage, they are to raise children. That is the purpose of marriage. Children. Statistically speaking, a child is best when both parents are in the household they grow up in. When you disrupt this Western prescribed family structure, you advocate for fatherless homes. And so, what the BLM organization ends up pushing for is homes without a father. And so, because I believe that it's in God's design for a man and a woman to be married to raise children, because many studies show the negative effects of children growing up without a father in the home, and because I believe black children and every other child should grow up with the father and mother together, I cannot support the BLM organization. There are some other reasons as to why, as a Christian, I can't support the BLM organization, but I'll leave it at that. As I end this video, I want to make some closing remarks. First, the 2 reasons as to why I, as a Christian, cannot support the BLM organization. Number 1, I believe that unborn black lives matter. And number 2, I believe that black children matter in the respect that they deserve to have a father and mother in the home. At the end of it, I not only believe that black lives matter, I believe that all black lives matter. And so, just to be clear, yes, black lives do matter. They absolutely do. We as Christians need to affirm this. We as Christians need to show love, not compromise the truth, and stand with the black community when there's an injustice done to them. Racism still exists in the heart of individuals. So we as people need to make sure to fight against that idea. And so remember, we as Christians need to reflect Christ. Christ should be the center of all of our lives. Lastly, I think the only real way to solve this issue of racism is through the gospel. We live in a broken world with broken people, and only the gospel can change the heart and mind of individuals that it impacts for eternity. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I do hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. Thank you guys for watching this video.